My attitude is speed never killed anybody. It's the sudden stops that hurt.
Going back to Laguna was kind of like coming back to Miller. Driving around the city brings back so many memories, good and bad. And you think, man, it's like, you get on the track and it's weird because when you take off, even though I know this is a bagger, when you roll out of the track, like immediately your mind just flips a switch like you're on a road racing bike.
After years of experience, I'm capable to change the motorcycle to make him feel better. When a rider feels comfortable and he's not scared, he goes fast.
It's strange, like deja vu, but you're in a weird dream.
Jim Feuling builds exotic engines today that may power your car in the future.
I think I was born mechanically insane. I cannot remember a time when I wasn't involved or playing with machines. It's been a lifelong love affair.
This is a story about a motorcycle and the men who have devoted their lives into making these American-made, air-cooled V-twin engines bulletproof. Our bagger race story begins here, Oceanside, California, the home of Feuling parts. Oceanside is a beach town on the coastline of Southern California, the third largest city in San Diego County, located just south of the world-renowned Camp Pendleton Marine Base. Oceanside houses the Feuling marketing and production facility, where all parts are finally inspected, assembled, packaged, and shipped out the door. Our crew is second to none.
You hear a lot of people back in Detroit saying this is as far as the internal combustion engine is going to evolve. The engine is still in its infancy. There's a tremendous amount of room left, not only in fuel efficiency, but in emissions and the impact that it has on the environment. We've just barely scratched the surface, and shame on those that make those statements.
Feuling has been associated with racing engines and technology since 1974. Whether it be a racing vehicle of some sort and or an engine being used, pretty much covered all forms of racing at one point or another, from the Baja 1000 to Bonneville to the Indianapolis 500. It's in our blood, and actually behind us is one of our latest builds. It kind of ties into this whole story because this is going to 2019. We wanted to build a full-blown performance bagger. We used our 3-cylinder engine, you can see behind me. And we based it on 17-inch wheels, fully, performance-based. And we released this at one of the shows. We used it as a centerpiece in one of our trade show booths. And it's kind of interesting how much fun was made of the motorcycle because it had the 17-inch wheels. And I think moving forward, especially after the success that we had at the race this past October, you're going to see a lot more builds out there with 17-inch wheels. But when you're kind of one of the first to try something, you're kind of looked at as an oddball.
So yeah, we've known Luke for a while. He's built our bikes, and we are now here to show you the facility that created all these great parts.
And we really appreciate you inviting us down and letting us run through the shop.
Well, first, thanks for coming down, guys. It's always good to see you. Good to see my dudes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Real quick, we've been going to Sturgis the last 4 or 5 years with Luke. He's been with us. So
we've been with him.
We've been with him.
Yeah. We've had Walla Walla, Washington onions. We've had cheese. We've had lots of sweet corn.
Yeah. Don't forget the sweet corn.
Sweet corn.
Yeah. So good times always. But anyway, go ahead.
All right, well, welcome, crew. We're here at the Oceanside branch. This is where we do all of our final inspection, assembly, packaging, and shipping out the door. So we'll go and do a little 2-cent tour. I'll tell you a little bit about the main products that we sell. So come on. I would say over the past few years, there's been a change in the industry where there's been more of a push towards performance-based products and performance-based motorcycles. And this is something that kind of fits into that, where we, it's kind of a shift away from the big wheels and the loudspeakers and so forth, and more focus on riders. And that really fits into Feuling's program because we're all about performance. King of the Baggers is a race that was kind of the brainchild of Rob Bidos.
Get your own camera. How did you come up with this? Because this was your idea.
How the hell did this happen?
A lot of these guys are taking them from down in the weeds, raising them up, putting brakes on them, making sure that the motor worked, the brakes worked, the ergonomics were right. And lo and behold, here we are with performance baggers. It's a whole new category.
The birth of King of the Baggers, multiple conversations with Rob Bidos, different vendors, not only phone calls, but trade show conversations, stuff like that. A meeting was planned in early 2020 where we met at the Newport Elks Lodge. And I would say there's roughly 9 vendors there. We were accompanied by the president of Drag Specialties, and Moto America was there. And discussions were had, and the concept really, had some horsepower behind it now. The Flying Pig is what started out as an 820-pound mule, 2019 Harley-Davidson Road Glide. And I would say, or some would say, that it more or less got molested down to 675 pounds and was set up to put on a road course track.
Flying Pigs, kind of something that everybody laughs about, but we took something that people laugh about and made it serious.
Power plant was a 130-inch Milwaukee 8 engine. That's 4 valves per cylinder. We were the larger stroke, the 4.5-inch stroke, set up with a big bore kit from Suburban Motors, where we were using their cylinders and pistons, our big 592 camshaft, beehive valve springs, and our race series oiling system. What is Skunk Works? Skunk Works is an experimental laboratory, generally a smaller division and or a set business revolving around research and development. Jim Feuling made a business around this where he developed technology and patented the technology and then worked with the OE manufacturers, whether it be General Motors, Ford Motor Company, John Deere, and would license the technology, and that was the Feuling business. Jim created one of the only places in the United States where under one roof you could do a clean slate engine. And a clean slate engine means everything from the concept to the design to the machining, assembly, and the testing under one roof. And this is something that, the internal combustion engine technology that came out of this place was absolutely amazing. And that's something that, appealed to the OEs out there, because the OEs, giant, big wheel, lots of engineers, lots of people. It's very hard to get things done. And when you have a Skunk Works operation where you have a small group of highly talented individuals, you can get a lot done. The Feuling Skunk Works of today is located in Mojave, California, up on the Air and Space Port in Mojave. A lot of cool stuff going on up there. We're trying to send people up into space. Alan McBee's up there running it, making all kinds of noise.
This takes us to a little place in the desert called the Mojave Air and Spaceport. The sky is often sprinkled with aircraft, some known, some unknown. On these slabs of concrete, surrounded by hills filled with wind turbines, exists a deep history of first embedded into the soil of this high desert. As the tumbleweeds cross the dusted airstrips, a team of gearheads are out here testing and tuning beast after beast.
Hi, this is Alan McBee. I don't know where we're going to go from there. I started with Jim Feuling in the fall of 1992. I was hired there as an engine builder, dyno operator, and a tuner. My main job was tuning engines.
Junior, and then that's Brett Barkman's national number 75. So at this event you had, this is Randy Green back here, there was only 2 of us novice riders that were invited to the whole event, and so there were some junior riders, but most of the guys in the event were all national number guys.
It was on and off. I actually have 3 racing histories. I started out when I was 7 years old. I raced for about 3 or 4 years, did really well in the mini bike class. Home situation caused me to stop racing. It wasn't until I got into my late teens that my dad got me back into racing again. I was able to turn professional, and home life again made me pull back the reins. The grace of God, I met a sponsor by the name of George Soule. I met him in my early 20s, and he wanted to go racing. So I went back at it again for about a good 10 years, maybe even longer, and did very well. We were very successful.
I've come through here when you've got guys working, and, it seems like every part gets measured and monitored, and is that...
The laborious part about doing oil pumps. Without trying to get too technical, the average human hair is 3/1000ths thick. When we're matching our gears, because we get our gears in from the double disc grinders, we hand lap them all, and then we have to measure them as individual pieces. And you can see like different bins here. So we're basically matching them up within 3/10 of one another. So we're splitting the human hair 10 times within all these bins.
Wow.
So that's kind of a fun fact.
Yeah, that's kind of...
all these parts just blow my mind. And when I'm flying down the freeway at 90 miles an hour, I'm going, how are they keeping up with this action?
And we often talk about it,
Yeah.
like push rods and things, like how does this little motor...
Yeah, especially when it's 110 degrees
Yeah.
and you're flying through the desert, you're going, how is this thing not exploding?
For sure.
And then you watch you run the W3 around too. It's like you got 3 times the problems.
Right.
Feuling R&D had a booth set up at the SEMA show, and that's where they were displaying the big block cylinder heads that they had developed. There was Chevrolet and Ford big block heads, and just so happened one of the employees that worked for Feuling went to the same school that I was going to, kind of created a nice little match there, and it was kind of home free from there.
And you're off to Ventura, California?
I'm off to Ventura, California.
And how do you end up in Oceanside? Like, how long has Feuling been around?
Feuling's been around since the early 70s. In fact, his first patent dates back to 74, started with the exhaust systems. He really got into changing, the whole system when it comes to exhaust and airflow. And what that worked into was doing cylinder heads. And Feuling really became a cylinder head expert out there. And this is kind of how we got into the Harley business, is we worked very heavily on the twin cam engine. Harley was actually having some hot running issues when they came to their hot testing with the twin cam engine. The chief of engineer for Harley at the time had worked with Feuling back in the day when he was with General Motors, called on him. Feuling was able to fix some stuff for him, and that's really how we got into the whole aftermarket Harley-Davidson business.
Wow.
Awesome. I just came up with a really cool slogan.
Please.
The Feuling parts. I mean, you can't see them because they're inside the bikes, but you sure can feel them. Whoa! Whoa!
My guy.
And that's without... That's straight up, came right from the heart.
The passion in this building, the heart and soul, it came from inside.
Yeah.
I love you, Pops.
Right. So you end up in El Cajon, and now you're in Oceanside, and you're just...
we're cranking away. We're kind of spread out. Machine shops in El Cajon still. We're located here in Oceanside with the production facility. Our R&D, which I think you guys have seen in some other clips, is located up in Mojave.
Right.
And so here we are.
Alan and Gene.
The boys.
The boys. Well, thanks, man.
The term bulletproof when we're describing our product line, and that's what we believe in, because not only do we put our products to the test on the dynos, but also on the street.
5, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Put together what I would say is one hell of a team, led by our crew chief, Alan McBee, who himself is no stranger to racing and no stranger to building motorcycles.
Running a little behind as usual, but we're going to gather it up. I'm not looking forward to the drive today. But
With the evolution of the Flying Pig in motion, the crew set out to the City of Sin for this custom twin-cylinder sled to meet its pilot.
The first track day was pretty interesting. I think we brought something that a lot of these guys had never seen before. You know, all these sport bike guys weren't expecting to see a Harley roll into the track. And so a lot of them were looking at us puzzled. And then we also had on the flip side a bunch of guys that were coming over looking at us and saying, you guys are actually putting this on the track?
So we had a bunch of different reactions when we first unloaded the bike. What is this Harley doing here? Comments made about if they get passed by that bike on the track, they're gonna get rid of their whole setup.
You can't just come to the racetrack and have problems. They gotta work too.
We were more or less being laughed at as we were, going through the setup process.
I've never seen anything like that before.
We rolled the bike over to tech inspection, and the tech guys were, absolutely floored with the build. They're like, this thing is so pretty, we're not even going to touch the thing. And by the end of the event, I will assure you that nobody was laughing at our motorcycle and or the pilot that we had on it. Jim Feuling used a slogan in his marketing early on, and it was, to be the best, you need the best. So the race was taking place at Laguna Seca, and who other than Ben Bostrom would be the right pilot to put on your bike. That came about through my friend, business partner, Lance Corey with Thrash and Supply. He's a roundabout relative of Ben, and I reached out to Lance and asked if he'd put us in touch. Got a little group chat going, and had some good conversations with Ben. He was excited about getting back on the track, riding a Harley Davidson. I'd say the rest is history.
I know, impress us with your muffler.
I know. My name is Ben Bostrom. I got started in motorcycle racing mainly because I didn't want to go to school. But originally I thought I was going to be Tony Hawk. And fortunately, my younger brother went to a race with Dad and said, that's really fun. So I took my 4 years I had trained on a skateboard and ditched it to go ride a motorcycle, and it was fun. And then I realized, man, you can actually make a couple $100, and I don't have to do my janitorial job. And you quit school and my job at the same time, so that's why bikes paid off. See, here I am. Yeah, I was a janitor, 10 till 3 a.m. And then your friends are like, how come you always miss the first few hours of class? I don't know, just got home from work, it's
Bopping the floors, man.
I know. Actually, they're real cool. Actually, sometimes they really felt bad for you. If they wanted to go out, they knew they can condense your 5-hour shift down to like 2 or 3 hours if 5 of them helped. And you give somebody the duster, the broom, the plunger, the vacuum, and you start assigning jobs. And we'd run around those places like ants and just knock it out. So this is a good group of guys.
An American dirt track champion. He's been the AMA Superbike champion, and he is now a genuine world-level rider in this Superbike category.
Ben Bostrom hanging tough. Ben Bostrom.
Bostrom and up on the back wheel. He's had 2 wins in succession. Race 2 at Mazzano. Race 1 at Laguna Seca. The American in fine style.
You see the gap is bigger, but it's not a big gap. You had a 77 on the bike, even though I was born on the 7th, and I always say on the 7th day this guy was created, right? Because I gotta be an asshole. I didn't know what to think either, and we got out there, and I was like, man, these bikes, they look like they have a lot of corner speed. And at that time, honestly, if we had this bike, we'd have handed those guys their ass. But we had like a stock bike that you could lean over only so far. That track went left, and the cases are pretty big on the left side on a Harley. And we could only lean over tink, so far. And I was trying to get my confidence and my head wrapped around riding a bagger. With basically a radio, and I can see my hands. I'm like, that's weird to me. I can see my gloves. I'm racing, and it doesn't make sense. So but I think I would have retired too if the bagger beat me. Because the bikes are so different, the speed differential, like this thing is incredible down the straightaway and on the brakes. Unfortunately here, there's a couple corners where you actually go through like a very small chicane entering the corner, and this bike's very fast. It's just stable and you kind of jump the curves. But then when you get in the corner, you're limited to this lean angle, and I just hope the other bikes know it, because now that you've made time, they lean and all of a sudden they're going real fast, and they might go, holy shit, they're going to try to trail brake in the middle of the corner to stop, and they're going to slide right into you. And then we're going to have to run them over on our Harley.
As soon as they realized who our rider was, it was like, oh shit, this is a serious game.
Alan and I go way back. So Alan McBee, when I saw him at the first test we did in Vegas, you know when something's not right. You know, I'd think, okay, new people, but like something's not right. And he grabbed, it's Alan McBee, right? And when I was young, like I was this little shit, and the only thing I knew how to do is change, we put boys and reeds in my little CR80. And that's all I knew how to do at the track, other than like maybe another wrap of duct tape around the tie-down strap that hold the rear end down of my bike. And Alan would be over there working on his stuff. And I was always like, man, Alan McBee and Andy Tresser, either they overwork on their shit, or they're just smarter than the rest of us, right? But they both had like an aggressive style, and they were the guys you kind of looked up to. And you were this kid's racing 80s, but one day we're going to get to race Alan and Andy and these guys.
Prepare for the main event as we round out the starting spots in the feature. Another quick semi-final highlight look. Number 6 YVN, Bostrom, 91, Andy Tresser. We've seen Tresser run well before, but Bostrom is a rookie and just coming up. You've been around this game long enough to spy some good young talent. How's this kid rate?
Into the 3rd position, there you have Andy Tresser out of Redwood City, California. The great Oklahoma City racer. Ben Bostrom of Brisbane, California is going to be starting on the outside of row number 1.
Lodi Cycle Bowl, where we first started racing together. Yeah, we always had good relationship with Ben and Eric. His dad, Dave, I raced with him probably more than I did Ben. Ben was in a smaller class than we were at the time because I was older. He was moving his way up. So when we first went, I was racing with Dave Bostrom, their dad, good competitors and really good people. And we had a lot of fun together.
And as it turned out, I went on road with Andy Tresser before he passed away, and I thought that was really cool because all he did is work on that bike to the point that he'd either tune himself in or out of nationals. And I was like, oh my God, Andy. And Alan is super methodical, and I can't believe it. I see it. Alan hasn't really aged, right? Like, you see it, and I was laughing. He's sitting there talking to RV earlier, and I can see them talking shop. And it's the same mindset.
I've aged like crazy. And why he didn't recognize me was because of all the weight and all the beer drinking.
No, I bet if you still got on a bike, you'd be fast.
I'd kick your butt.
I believe that, yeah.
I'm not afraid to do it all.
I know. Alan had this like this.
Let's see if we can go dirt track racing. Out there on the street, no, you'd kick my ass. Because I haven't tested.
I got some practice.
You want to go dirt track racing? Let's go tomorrow.
I would, actually. I would.
I'd be really good for 2 laps.
Me too.
That's what we wanted to know. So we can't get less than a quarter of a tank. I was trying to keep the weight down.
Yeah, you know? Smart, yeah.
We started out at a half, and then the first 2 sessions, we just started that one at a quarter. So we know we got to be at a half.
Yeah, I was just about.
That's what we need to know. I was wondering what was happening, but
well, you need to run out of gas because you're embarrassing the hell out of some boys out there.
Are you planning on doing like the bagger race in Moto America or something with this?
Yeah.
That is so cool. I've seen you in advanced all day, but I haven't like come across you, so I know you've had to been hauling some serious ass. So.
Now that the pilot and machine have meshed, the team heads out to Monterey, California for the inaugural King of the Baggers race at Laguna Seca. Laguna Seca is an 11-turn, 2.2-mile road course on California's central coast. The track is a favorite of racers and fans worldwide, with focus on the infamous downhill plunge known as the Corkscrew. From turn 8 to turn 9, the elevation drops 110 feet, just over 10 stories. Braking and throttle control are crucial. Our pilot Ben Bostrom is no stranger to Laguna Seca. Some would say he's the king of the Corkscrew.
We roll into Laguna Seca, and the initial response was very similar to the Las Vegas track day that we had, where there's a lot of guys kind of looking at these goofy big old baggers, and they're, you know, for the most part, I think everybody's thinking there's going to be oil sprayed all over the track and pieces and parts flying off these things. And so I would say that was the initial response. Once we got out on the track and they showed, or everybody got to witness the track times, the speeds that these bikes put out, and now all of a sudden everybody, you know, not only were blown away, but they were very interested in what's going on.
I mean, just the whole Laguna Seca experience in general was pretty cool. I mean, rolling in, you know, on an afternoon to something that I've never been a part of before, personally, was just a cool experience altogether. Rolling into the paddock and parking next to all these other pit crews that are out there. But again, kind of like the track day, we're kind of a spectacle. Everybody's looking at you a little bit weird, but then of course you're surrounded by all the guys that are also racing with you in the same class. It's just a real big camaraderie between all the teams. I mean, obviously there's racing involved in certain things, you know, you kind of keep to yourselves about, but at the end of the day, we were friends with a lot of those guys, and it was a cool experience.
Welcome to WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca. Monterey, California plays host to the final stop of the 2020 campaign of Moto America. Robbie Floyd with Roger Hayden. Like to welcome into the booth Rob Bidos.
In January, we had a meeting at the Newport Elks Club. You know, any great motorcycle race has frosty beer and a table napkin and Fred Fox was there. All the builders that were down in the paddock were on site. They kind of had a gentleman's agreement, shook hands, and the next thing you knew, we're watching the Sly Fox Road Clyde and the Indian Challenger lead the boys out onto the track. They spent months and months and months building these bikes, fine-tuning them, whether it's a swing arm from Alloy Art or a front end from one of the aftermarket companies like Legend, Saddleman seats on all the bikes, it seems, and you look at the big motor, Feuling that's putting the power to the track. These are truly amazing race bikes. And how about this fellow, Ben Bostrom, on the number 77 Feuling bike? Had a chance to have breakfast with them yesterday, and all he could talk about was just how cool this is right now.
Yeah, it's cool to see Ben back into the paddock.
It's Friday, we're going through our practice sessions. Once again, we're making some fine-tune adjustments to the gearing, played with some foot pegs. That Cameron was out there with a hacksaw trimming down the foot pegs. We had a little bit more lean angle, some more ground clearance, played with some chain tension. But we made, you know, in all reality, fine-tuned changes throughout Friday.
Get back to the racetrack was kind of exciting. I hadn't been back to a racetrack in probably about 5 or 6 years.
On a little Stasic bicycle, he'd have the brushless motor and that thing going wide open. So, you know, he's a guy, and all of these guys, Ben and Tyler Perry West and Josh Heron, I mean, these names are normally announced in superbike races, and they're riding these things that...
First practice day went pretty darn good. You know, obviously, for just like anything, there's always room for improvement. So we saw some places that we felt that we were lacking and that we could improve upon. Whether that was something as simple as making some gear changes in the final drive or doing a little bit of suspension tuning. I think we even ended up making some changes to the seat at the track, you know, with some padding and duct tape. You know, it's amazing what you can do under a little bit of pressure and trying to get what you need done.
Right. I thought this was like an exhibition race, and then, you know, the last couple of weeks I keep seeing all this stuff showing up on social media. They're out testing and, you know, preparing for this thing like it's a real race.
Well, I mean, hey, listen, when you put the name Moto America on it, you're not playing around in somebody's sandbox. This is as legit as it gets. I mean, this is the highest level. And, you know, when we explained it to them, you know, at that Elks Club meeting, they understood that they needed to put quality riders on this. This has to happen once where you go, you know what, that was a pretty cool thing. I want to make sure I check that out again. And the best way to do that is have some of the best in the games that are showing them up. And I think Ben's letting somebody know he'll be back to check them out in a couple minutes here.
So I got into racing Harleys. We didn't have the money to go road racing, so Ventura and Fresno Harley, Monty Miller, he was Joe Leonard's mechanic back in the day, and then he ended up owning Harley shops. He gave me an opportunity to race those. And I thought, man, if we could do one road race, so he let me do one. But our bike was dead stock. We took it right from the showroom floor. Does this sound kind of familiar? The Harley was the opportunity, and the next year, as soon as I could, because my brother had a Bartels ride, I jumped ship and went to Bartels. And Bartels was like, we're all about road racing these things, so you can dirt track if you want. So I did a little bit of dirt track, and I road raced those Harleys, and that was horrendous. I almost retired right away. First year road racing, I was going to retire because we were taking care of all the customer bikes. It turns out, I know it's hard to believe, but these Harleys are a lot of work.
Well, you've just been on the track at Laguna Seca for the first time in 8 years, Ben Bostrom, on a Harley road glide that folks from Feuling built. Tell us about it.
It's quite the experience, honestly. Just riding around the track, it felt like yesterday, which is strange, right? You know, it's hard to get your mind up to speed, even on the big bike. When I took off down the pit lane, this thing's a lot faster than a mountain bike, and I'm loving it. Each lap got like a little more friendly, and you realize, man, there's a lot of places to make time and a lot of things to learn on a bike that doesn't do very much. And that's kind of strange too, but I was following Wyman out there, and he probably looked just as damn awkward as I did, but at the same time I had so much fun following him. Man, I hope I look that good on the bike. Yeah. What do you think, Luke?
I think you look good out there.
Yeah?
Should we talk about your morning schedule and the routine to get here, or what?
Probably. You see how the track waiting for me? Forgot to register yesterday. Probably freaked the ladies out up there. They had me on the no ride list. Good thing I went up there. Right? And then, you know, we got some hot coffee sitting in the car for the fellas. I didn't have time to run down for you.
You think it's still hot?
These are the important things in life. Yeah, it's still. Dude, that was 1 hour ago. Yeah, we're good.
What's going through your head when you first, saddle up on a new rig?
Wow, what goes through my head now is so much different than what went through my head when I was young. When I was young, I had I had a huge sack. Like I'd want to impress people, so I'd be like, watch, I could beat you the first lap on a bike I've never ridden. That was the mentality. And my brothers were always like, Ben's crazy. But that's what I flash a climb. Like you climb, I'm gonna flash this, watch this. And you put more effort into that than you did in your racing career. But on the bikes, it's odd because back then you would try so hard on something with you just keep the faith, and just believe in yourself and the bike and go. And God, that's so dangerous. And now I get on, I'm like, be careful, learn it, warm the tires up. Does it are the brakes there? Do you hear something? Or do you hear something? And I'm learning the bike, and it's, you didn't figure out how to ride, but you're conservative now. The fear of crashing is different, which is weird. They put a lot of time in that bike. I shouldn't crash that bike. I'm probably gonna be fine. Could affect my golf swing. It's weird. Back in the day, you had nothing else. Real stuff. Yeah. Back in the day, you had nothing else to care about. You were being paid to jump on that bike and be awesome. And that's purely where you got paycheck. And if you didn't get hurt, you're paid to be awesome and just hang out with your buddies.
Looking down the track, got his eyes up, grabbing gears.
The cool thing about this is for next year, he'll have the 155 on there. So as soon as you see it, you're going to know exactly who it is.
The 155, when I raced dirt track, we were, what do you call it? Rookie champion or something like that. You're the best rookie, right? So you got this rookie thing. With the rookie, I was given the opportunity to pick my national number for the next year, and I got first pick. By luck, Scotty Parker, one of my heroes, became number 1 and gave up his number 11. And I was like, I'm number 11. So I took number 11, and that stayed.
Double one.
What's better than number 1? 2 ones, right? And so, yeah, that would add up to, yeah, right.
So, I'm just doing math.
Yeah,
man.
it's just math. That's math, right? 2 ones adds up to 11. So, what happened there? They got into road racing, and they allowed back then, because they had Grand National Champions back in the day, you had to road race for this kind of overall, I don't even know what they called that. Grand Slam or something, but you road raced races to get points, and you also raced all the dirt tracks, and the winner was like this elite thing. So I got to keep my 11 going into road racing, and then as a rookie we got lucky and won the championship. We were number 1. So I got stripped of my 11, but when I wanted to put that back on, we got taken over to World Superbike the following year. We got taken over there way too soon, but I said, I'm number 11. And they said, oh, no, you'll be number 155 because that's the dial code. We dial 411 for information. In Italy, it's 155. And that was my sponsor at the time. It's like AT&T here. And so it added up to 11, so it was cool. But the first time I realized it was cool was I'd done either really good at the discotheque or on the track, because some little punk Italian kids had these scooters and they pulled up to a gas station while I was gassing up my car, and there was little 155s on their scooters, and I thought, man, that can only be for me. If I was 11, that could have been Corsa or anybody. I was like, I like this number, it's odd. And it's still there.
It's there.
Sorry about that. 2014, ready to kick off the big way at WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca.
As soon as it compresses, like when you pushed on it, the chain's tight as a screw.
Yeah.
So as soon as it
Ulrich.
Damn, it's so fun. Like I just having fun riding around. Like, you know what, I'm just gonna ride around and.
Well, it looked like you were racing a little bit more that time instead of looking around and playing with the saddlebags and waving at people.
Because you hear shit. Like you're like, what the hell is that? You know, you gotta check things.
Like you look at you're out there for a Sunday drive.
You ready to do these for race?
Hey, this weekend we're here at Laguna Seca racing the King of the Baggers. We gotta do a couple laps with Chris Ulrich there with the Cardo system to just converse and let the Superbike watch just exactly how we do it here at the Bagger race. That's what you can do,
Again, just the idea of putting a bagger out on Laguna Seca was just a cool idea in general. And then to see him out there with a sport bike and actually pulling away from the sport bike in some of the corners and straightaways was pretty impressive.
Ben Bostrom, Laguna Seca, win.
I had some bad years.
You had a lot of good years here.
Dude, how funny is this thing to follow? Like, honestly.
I gave you a wide berth for a couple laps so I figured out you weren't going to want the thing up.
Yeah.
What excites me the most about the baggers is how quick you guys are all going. And getting out there and following you, it was like, oh shit, I gotta ride. Uh-oh. You know, and it's like, that's impressive, especially for something like that.
I'm kind of shocked too, actually. It's really fun to ride. Like if you'd switch bikes, you'd see this thing you just drifting the whole time. It's a big drift car. They're really fun to ride. They're kind of addicting. Going back to Laguna was kind of like coming back to Miller. It's bizarre to like just landing and driving around the city brings back so many memories, good and bad. And you think, man, it's like you get on the track and it's weird because when you take off, even though I know this is a bagger, when you roll out of the track, like immediately your mind just flips a switch, like you're on a road racing bike. And you got to tell yourself you're not. Fortunately, the shifting's the same way, and the bike does things that let you know I'm a bagger, right? And at that point, we had like the speakers and radio. It looked pretty cool. And I was like, okay, I'm on a bagger, I like these bars. But riding around there, you still knew how to ride the track and drift and slide, and I forgot how fun it was. When I go through it, sometimes like you start to like fold the thing in, and you're not on that bike, and you got to remind yourself, or the bike reminds you real fast, you're not on that bike, and so it's strange, like deja vu, you know. But you're in a weird dream because you're not who you used to be. It's bizarre.
Update here, it's Friday. We finished our last practice, qualified 4th, making a couple of tweaks. Think we figured some stuff out. Get Ben running out there a little more solid. Maintenance, our crew chief Alan, and we got Evan working on the bike right now. We're dumping all the fluids, making a couple of tweaks, and we'll be ready to rock and roll tomorrow.
Nice.
What are we?
We're the first privateer against all the factory teams.
Go for it.
Ready?
Yeah.
Obviously the question was posed, how day 2 go of the Drag Specialties King of the Baggers? Well, we had bikes on the track. Everybody's starting to get a little bit faster. They're learning more and more about the chassis setup, and that's the biggest part of these bikes. As they get more stable in the corners, the riders get a lot harder on the throttle. The folks from Feuling over here are doing a lot of hard work because Ben Bostrom thinks that he has a few more seconds in him, and that could certainly put him in podium, i.e. win contention, so you never count out the Boz. Any of them. Boz brother, E-Rock, B-Rock, any of them. So then, you go over to what the guys at Indian are doing. They've got a really fast bike with a really talented rider on it. They're doing a great job. The other story of the day for Indian, Frankie Garcia on the Rolling Sands bike, doing a practice start, had some malfunction go, he looped out. We hope he's better, but the bike took a little bit of a beating. Folks from Feuling stepped up one more time with a handlebar donation that's going to get him back in action for the actual race. Good, the Sly Fox Glide was picking up some points as far as faster lap times with their rider. Saddleman bike looks great on the track. They're working through a little bit of suspension setup. The PM bike looks good. Everybody out here's kicking ass and taking names, and I hope the folks that are back home, when you have a chance to decide what you're going to do with your Road King, your Street Glide, your Road Glide, you look at what some of these folks have done. Whether it's the swing arm, the suspension, make sure the motor works as well. Torque and cams, they go hand in hand. Make sure you're with the Feuling crew when you come to that. Get the heads flowing, make sure you get a nice big throttle body on there. Get some injectors in there. Nice air cleaner as well. Suspension, giant rotors. Many piston calipers on them. Get a real aggressive cockpit setup and you're going to have a great time. Tomorrow's race day, so I hope all you folks out at home tune back in, because when we're done, we will have crowned the 2020 King of the Baggers.
Oh, it was incredible. It's so good to be back at Laguna. It's been about closing in on a decade. That's too long. And the bike's incredibly fun to ride. All the bikes seem incredibly different, I'll say that. So it's gonna be a really interesting race tomorrow, and I think we have this shot at racing for second. You know, I just have that gut feeling. I've been out here and I've qualified 4th row. I can't tell you how many times I've won from that 4th row. So today we're 4th. So maybe that's a good thing. And we made a step backward for qualifying, so it didn't look good. We didn't make any time. The other guys made a little bit, but we're still 4th. We're in the hunt, and I just got this feeling that we can make up that time. Plus, we're kind of a late breaker, so if we have to get in their way, we just get in their way.
Right.
Like it's all for fun, you know. Go out there and give a little bit of respect, and hey, we're here to race.
We came into Saturday morning. We had one practice session before the race. We're looking really good. We had picked up 2 seconds Friday night compared to where we were, you know, during the practice sessions on Friday. What makes a great motorcycle?
A great motorcycle is the one that gives you the most confidence when you ride it. When you ride the bike, you should be part of that bike. You know, some bikes are just evil and they handle really wrong. And this one's getting better. So when you ride a bike, like if it's actually one with the track and the human, like you don't do that much work. Actually, the horse is doing all the work, but your confidence level comes up and it becomes really fun. You end up, like in this case, surfing the asphalt on the motorcycle, and it's awesome. You can tell when somebody doesn't like their bike because they look tense, they're exhausted in 8 laps, you know, and they got 12 more to go.
The warm-up session in the morning, it started out well. We were 2 seconds faster than the day before.
Things were looking good, but then we noticed last couple of minutes of that session, Ben's pace really slowed down.
Bike came off the track making a ton of racket, and Ben came, basically shut off the engine and rolled it into the pits. At that point, we knew that we had to make some moves rather quickly because the race was just around the corner. So we started tearing into the motor immediately. The final practice was, kind of a blow to the team.
On the last lap of Saturday morning's practice, we had engine failure.
Unfortunately, what happened to us is that too many heat cycles on the engine, and we had a cylinder head go soft.
And this is where the disappointment hit us fairly hard. We're a bulletproof company is what we say with our components, and we had a failure.
It annealed itself, and it pulled rocker stud right out of the head. And we thought that we had everything covered. Those are the things that happen when you go racing, and you put all of the material and components to their edge.
Rocker arm shaft snapped, pulled the threads of the rocker arm stud out of the cylinder head. So here we are, a couple hours before the race. We've got a failed cylinder head, and we made a couple laps around the pits to see what components were available. I made some phone calls to local Harley-Davidson dealerships to see what was available. We were able to come up with some cylinder heads and some of the pieces and parts for to get us back up and running. However, we could not find any rocker shaft.
A new plug doesn't help. The problem seems to lie deep inside the engine. To find it, there's no choice but to remove the whole engine, a 4-hour job.
This is the real speed secret here, gentlemen. The secret's in the sauce.
Finally, the news comes.
Well, we could be in better shape. We've lost the engine.
Help comes from an old friend. Terry Nish, Mike's dad, offers Jim the use of his shop in Salt Lake City, just 2 hours away.
We went over to the Vance and Hines booth, and with some conversations over there, we realized that they had a backup engine. They had one of the new Harley-Davidson 131 crate engines stashed away in their box fan. Had some discussion with Terry Vance, and he made some conversations happen with Harley-Davidson. And I guess one thing that we really had in our corner that was a big help was Ben raced for Terry years ago. And Ben also had a relationship where he worked with the factory. So I think that helped us. Harley-Davidson gave him the blessing to pass us on their spare engine. And so now we're off ripping an engine out of our bike. We've got 2 hours to do the engine swap.
So that's kind of when the tornado happened. I mean, and that's really what it felt like we were in. We had a short time frame to work with, and so we did a hot swap on the motor.
But then at that point, we were like, shit, we have 2 hours to get this done. So like we had to get on it.
With that major curveball that was just thrown at Team Feuling, the guys are looking to do an entire engine swap in under 2 hours. Time is of the essence.
This has not been a good morning.
Expected. I used to race Harleys. Yeah, we used to jump through hoops. The only difference is I'd be over there wrenching on the thing. Right. And I can't tell you how many times we've done this and borrowed parts from different Harley shops and this, that, and they've come and borrowed from us. So it's just like old times. The cool thing is to see how it's still like a family, you know? Like everyone knows, like we're out there racing, but everyone's got to be on the track to race. Otherwise, it's not really a race. It's cool.
Team Feuling steps up to the plate, and we knock out a full-blown engine swap in under 2 hours. The engine's in, we're up and running.
Yeah, a sense of relief, also a sense of concern because we didn't have any time to do any practice tests. I mean, we fired the thing up, warmed it up, rode it around the pits a little bit.
The Feuling team kicked ass, got it done. We're talking minutes before the race, we get the thing fired up. We get Ben to tool around the pits a little bit so we can get a little bit of tuning data off of the engine.
There's nothing worse than not being able to compete in the race that you showed up for. So just being able to take that motor and give us another opportunity was equivalent to lighting the fire.
Welcome everybody watching on Moto America Live Plus. It is time, that time of the year we've been waiting for, the Drag Specialties King of the Baggers. An 8-lap feature ready to take center stage here at WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca. It is the Geico Moto America Speed Fest at Monterey, and these are bikes you are not used to seeing or hearing for that matter, as they are out on their signing lap right now. Robbie Floyd with Roger Hayden, and I like to call him the godfather of the baggers. Rob Bidos here, and Rob, this is part of your conception that how this came about, and literally as these guys took out on their signing lap, it sounded like something I'd never heard before here at Laguna Seca.
Well, traditionally you hear those noises only in Daytona or Sturgis or places like that around town, but today it's Laguna Seca Raceway. And you mentioned how did it come about? Well, a group of the vendors decided to get together down at an Elks Club in Newport Beach. They brought in Fred Fox from the Le Mans Corporation, sat down. I explained to him that I think that the new generation of rider on the Harley Davidson and Indian Challenger, for that matter, want their bikes a little taller, to stop better, to go faster, to be able to be more of a performance thing. And over the course of the time, the aftermarket industry joined forces here, if you will. They come together, they're keeping everybody going all day long, and they develop these bikes for this one-off event. First inaugural, never before done, Drag Specialties King of the Baggers, and are out on the track right now, getting warmed up all weekend long. Every time they hit the track, the paddock goes over to the pit wall. They
Right.
want to see, you mentioned the noise, while the big V twins are making some crazy noise. Vance and Hines jumped on board, and they do it with Terry Vance, so no corners were cut there.
Indians, Harley Davidsons are going to be the measure today instead of the Suzuki's, Kawasaki's, Hondas, the Yamahas, Ducatis, and Tyler O'Hara has been the cream of the crop. But look at the talent that we have in our field. I mean, these are some talented riders, World Superbike riders, Moto America riders. I mean, these are fast guys. 13 of them hit the track, and I know Michael Barnes is going to have to start last. We really haven't seen any laps out of him. I mean, this man who's won at Daytona, he's going to be out here racing Laguna on a bagger.
Travis Wyman's out here. He won the Superstock race at Indy.
Yeah, just 2 weeks ago.
What about the 77 on the Feuling Road Glide? That's Ben Bostrom out there. O'Hara on the front row. Frankie Garcia had one of the biggest get-offs yesterday as he had a starting line loop out. And there's one of the most iconic views that have ever been seen.
Let's look and listen to the start.
And here we go. Who's going to grab that home shot coming up the...
Ben Bostrom's with a good jump.
Ben nails to start. We're sitting in the 4th position. He jumps right up there.
I went flying into that first corner, and everything was looking super promising.
Hayden Gillen on the Vance and Hines machine looks like he's trying to go into the lead, and I don't know if he shot the corner, but Raj, what did he do?
He
Came in a
got
little
in
hot.
on the inside and just got in a little deep and couldn't hold the line.
And there was the question, though, is we've seen these guys, nose and tail, but we have not seen them all go into turn 1 together trying to race to get that whole shot. We saw it's tough to put 2 to 3 bikes into that turn.
Well, let me give you a quick rundown of who we have out there. The number 14 is Frankie Garcia on the Roland Sands Indian. Tyler O'Hara on the S&S Indian, number 29. Ben Bostrom on the Feuling Road Glide, number 77. Hayden Gillen on the Vance and Hines Street Glide, number 79. Corey West on the slide.
But it wasn't too far after that when you noticed that he started getting progressively slower, and it was becoming more and more noticeable as time went by. So I think it was about the 2nd or 3rd lap when he was really starting to back out of the grouping, and we saw the black flag come out. And so as soon as Ben came off the track, I mean, you can imagine what that feels like, seeing your bike come off the track. It's an 8-lap race, so you don't have any opportunity to get back out there. I mean, at that point, the disappointment factor starts setting in, and then to see just basically a stream of oil coming off of this thing was a pretty big letdown.
What we've got to do is we've got to come up with some new ideas, some new concepts, and make a couple of quantum leaps here in order to take and come back and go faster and be more reliable. It's like old racer Joe Leonard once said, to finish first, one first must finish. And it fits here, doesn't it?
What's up, guys? What's going on? Well, we got a DNF.
DNF?
Yeah. Did not finish.
But when we were in trouble, the competitors stepped up, lent us a motor. The guys on the team thrashed. I get emotional about this. It was a hard day, but we're supposed to be bulletproof here at Feuling. I spend endless hours in the dyno trying to break these things, and I can't do it. And you take it to the racetrack, and in front of thousands of people, it breaks.
Call you home. Such little time.
The Flying Pig was number 77. I hear that 155 is coming back.
Yeah, we are bringing back 155. Ben Bostrom again piloting our bike. We're using his legendary number for the race bike this season, and we're gonna put him on that bike and let him make some moves.
Well, my old man is wild as me, but tried to teach me better on 23.
We're developing the world's fastest bagger. We made an attempt at it last year. We did a quick effort at it. it didn't turn out the way we wanted. We abused the Harley-Davidson engine. We found the weak link in the Harley-Davidson material. After consistent power runs, after continuous power development, we thought we were okay when we went to the racetrack, and we had a cylinder head material fatigued, and the threads pulled out. We broke a rocker stud. I could say that it's my fault that I didn't do enough thrashing. I thought we were really good when we went to the racetrack. That's what racing does, is it will show you your dirty laundry. Sometimes even though you don't want. And again, even as a manufacturer, Harley-Davidson doesn't make all these components. You know, Feuling doesn't make all these components. We have to rely on the materials that we're bolting our parts to. They're all susceptible to heat fatigue. And what happened to us at Laguna Seca won't happen to us again.
Could be real easy, I guess, to quit now. But I think tenacity is going to prevail. I know it will. And I don't really have any choice. There's a difference between being involved and being committed. And in this particular case, I'm committed.
What is bullshit, Dad? I don't know. It's like something like, you know, moms and dads use. I don't know. I didn't say that. I had some other fucking bullshit that I said. I was just like, oh, well, it's something you use to describe something. Well, what does describe mean, Dad? It's like, oh,
Clap. He has the clap? We got clap.
clapper here. Clap on, baby. Let's go. Take two. Check, check. Hello?